giving me no data. I'm not really sure why. Everything seems correct.
So there are a couple options here. Mr. Fusco, I assume you're running the meeting. We are not required to stream. Our mechanism for allowing public participation is live and well, because we have members in the audience and they will have the opportunity to provide public comment. So it is not a deal breaker that we're not streaming live. So Mary can continue working on getting us live on YouTube and we can start, or we can postpone for a few minutes in hopes. We are recording it so we can post the video.
It's going to be posted after the fact. People can always email questions, I would think.
Mary, you're muted.
Move forward.
Takes a little bit of time for it to process, but yeah, we can post, absolutely. So
if you're comfortable, Mr. Fusco, we could
No,
start.
I am. I'm good.
Okay. So then we're live.
All right, so I can begin. Here we go. All right, good night, or hello, everyone. Welcome to the April ECI committee meeting. We're going to start off after calling the order to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's start off with the minutes. Mr. McBain, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the March meeting?
Certainly, I so move.
All right, I will second that motion. All right.
Mr. Fusco, if I may.
Yeah.
Let's hold off on that because we only have 2 of the 4 present.
There's only 3 of us now. We got a quorum.
Oh.
Yeah, when Dr. Lewis Campbell left, we decided to stick with 3 for exactly that reason, so that we didn't get held up with 2 of us trying to move motions.
So Mrs. Stoll is currently reaching out to me trying to get in, but she's not.
She doesn't need to.
Yeah.
She's welcome to join us, but we are only a committee of 3 now. So I think
all right. So we have a motion and a second.
Motion and a second.
She can also join as an attendee through the webinar.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. All right. All right, Dr. Hart, I'm going to turn it over to you for our items recommended for work session. We have 2 items to take up tonight because I understand. No, I'm sorry, 3 items. We have student travel as well. So we'll turn it on over to you.
All right. Before I jump in, Dr. Waters, anything that you want to say before I jump in?
No, just good evening and welcome. And no, you got it. Thank you for asking, Dr. Hart.
Thanks. So we're delighted to be here this evening. The 2 presentations that you're going to hear this evening are for our summer programs, as well as for some course material adoptions. So we'd love to begin with summer programs. If you want to get those initial slide presentation up. The way in which we're going to organize the presentation is to start with our elementary summer programs and then move into our secondary summer programs. I have a number of colleagues here this evening to share the presentations. So I'm delighted that Nina Fenstermaker and Nick Taylor, Ken Boy, and Rachel Early are here, and we're all going to take some turns just to be able to kind of highlight the programs that they oversee in the summer. So I think the very first one is Spark, and so I'm going to turn it over to you, Nina.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm delighted to be here to share with you the 3 summer programs that I oversee in our district. If we can advance to the next slide. There we go. Our first program is the SPARK program. That stands for Summer Program for Academic Readiness for Nights. There's nothing new with this program. Our intention is always to reinforce and strengthen foundational skills in reading and math for our students in kindergarten through 6th grade. So the program will serve as eligible students for strengthening these skills. Transportation is provided this year as well, so our students will have access to the program if they need that service. The program will begin on Monday, July 1st and end on Thursday, July 25th. We always run the program Monday through Thursday as our buildings are closed on Fridays. Students come to the program from 9 o'clock to 11:30 each day, and this program is ESSER funded. This year, we'll be holding the program at Knapp Elementary School. So far with our invitations, we have invited 250 students. Actually, we've invited more than 250 students, but 250 students have accepted the invitation to this mark. Last year, we had 257 students accept the invitation, so we're right on mark with the scale of the program that we ran last year. We can go to the next program, which is our elementary virtual enrichment program. This program is actually eligible for all of our students, kindergarten through 6th grade. We'll start communications in about end of April, beginning of May regarding this program so that all of our families have the opportunity to sign up and register for this program, which is all virtual. It is aimed to support students with grade level content. So we're not looking for acceleration. We're just looking to support students in maintaining skills that they've learned throughout the year. So if they're a current 1st grade student, they'll go into the 1st grade virtual enrichment program as we're reinforcing the concepts that they've already learned. The program will run for the entire month of July, and everything is through the Canvas course. So they get a code for Canvas, they can log into the computer, and then all of the different activities are available there. We'll continue to provide our live read aloud program for students to engage in probably on Tuesdays and Thursdays again. It's always a really great opportunity for the kids to jump in, see their peers, and also possibly see different staff members, leaders across the district that volunteer for the read aloud opportunity. No cost to the students. Again, this is an ESSER funded program this summer. Last summer, I'll just share that we did have over 400 students who registered and actively participated in this program. So we hope to see, that many students or more this year. The final program I wanted to share with you tonight is our Kindergarten Readiness Camp. This is an opportunity for our rising or incoming kindergarten students to be instructed in learning readiness behaviors, become familiar with various school experiences, and engage in social interaction and play-based learning. Our goal is for students to gain a mastery of pre-K standards so that they're most prepared to start the kindergarten year. The program will begin on August 5th and end on August 15th. Again, we're running the program Monday through Thursday. Our program is a little bit longer than Spark. We have our students in session from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And the critical point there is because we really want them to engage in a lunch process. Kindergarten students, as they're walking through the lunch line and putting in their lunch number, maybe getting components of their lunchbox out, and sitting for a sustained time to eat during a lunch period of time, and then maybe going out to recess. All of these pieces of the kindergarten day are really critical for us to make sure that our students have that experience. This year, again, it is a ESSER funded program, so no cost to our students. And this year we'll be holding that program at Hatfield, Oak Park, and Gwen-Norr Elementary. So they're the end of my programs. I'm not sure if we wanted to just pause quickly and see if there's any questions that I can answer about Spark, the virtual enrichment program, or kindergarten readiness.
The question that I have is, well, the one question I think is probably specific for these elementary programs, which is how exactly do you become eligible for these programs?
Sure. So our Spark program is based off of a percentage point in our benchmark assessment. So that's our first kind of net that we use to identify a group of students. From that net, we do submit those names back to the buildings, and the buildings work together to review that list and decide and determine who is going to be, will most benefit from that program. There's also students that kind of get caught in that net that are also eligible for other summer programs, and so they may make sure that those students are weeded out per se, so that we make sure that we get the most accurate number of students that are eligible per building.
Okay.
So
actually,
there's
this does seem fairly specific for you too, because At what point did the ESSER funds run out for these programs?
This is the final summer for
that's-
ESSER, as ESSER funded programs. ESSER funds are really essentially done as of September 30th of this year.
So real quick, Miss Fenstermaker, if the students or families have, I'm sorry, Mrs. Stoll, I just saw your hand up. I apologize. Do you want to go ahead there?
I just had a quick question about the ESSER funds then. If this year is the last year for that, do we have a plan for next year, or is this something that we won't be offering next year if it's too much money?
So that's a really great question. What I can tell you is that the Spark program has been in our district pre-ESSER fund. So I, really expect that that program will, be back in the district budget. Our virtual program is not that expensive to maintain, and I think it's a really great program for all of our students to be able to access over the summer. Also, the kindergarten readiness camp, that would be a newer program that we have not had, serious conversations about to determine if I can give you an absolute yes that that program will continue next year. But I know that Dr. Hart and I have had some, serious conversations that we would like to see it continue. Dr. Hart, I don't know if you have anything else to add.
No, I think what you said was, really very much on point. I know that years ago, we had a kind of a kindergarten readiness program. There were a number of years that we didn't have it, and we wanted to really kind of bring it back. We found it to be very beneficial. And so as we think about, the experiences our children have this summer and the past couple of summers, we will be working on ways in which to be able to kind of provide support to help students make a really smooth transition into kindergarten.
Great, that's nice to hear. Okay, thank you. Sorry, Mr. McBain.
No, all good. The Zoom etiquette, I should know by now. The question I had was about the technology. Maybe it's a technology department question, but if families are having issues with their Chromebooks while they're going through that virtual education, not even the academic side, just the technology side, is our office still open for a phone call if they need help?
Yeah, it's a really great question. We do have tech assistants available all summer. Dr. Landis, is an integral part of the program and make sure that the technology department is available for any families that have questions. We also, all of our students have their Chromebooks over the summer, so that's not an issue either. And if, families continue to need Wi-Fi hotspots and things like that, we work with them.
Great, thank you.
We actually have tech support on the evenings where we do read alouds to make sure that everything runs really smoothly as well. So we really have been able to partner really closely with the tech department for all the programs. So it's been a wonderful way for us to make sure that everyone has access in ways that they really want to and need to.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, Nina, I know you're going to jump right back into class, so thank you so much for being here this evening. We appreciate it tremendously.
Yep, it's always a pleasure to see everybody. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thanks, Nina.
All right. And so, Mary, we're going to jump back into that slide deck. We're going to transition to our ELD programs, and that is Rachel.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me tonight. I'm going to finish up the elementary programs with our elementary ELD summer program. If you remember the last few years since the pandemic, we were continuing virtual instruction. We were surveying our families. Many of them travel over the summer, and we continue to do so this year, but got a lot more feedback that being in person would be the best bet. So we want to be very responsive to that. So we are bringing the program back in person after consulting with our facilities team. We will also be at Knapp Elementary, which will be great because we can partner up with Spark in terms of transportation, nurse, school nutrition services, the necessary drills. So we will have all that aligned. You can see the dates are the exact same and the times are the exact same. One of the hallmarks of this program is that we are really focusing in on our newcomer English learner, multilingual learner population. So we are inviting a little over 100 students that have been in the country for a year and a half or less. So we really wanted to focus on that group to really make, provide them the help that they need in order to feel confident moving into next school year. So we will be targeting that group. And this program, one of the differences about this program is It is fully funded through Title III funding. So it's just a nice component of our Title III grant. And we're fortunate enough to have that grant each year, and it really provides supplemental resources specific to multilingual learner students. So that's a little bit about the ELD program. And then I'm going to transition a little bit over to secondary. And we are offering a language enrichment summer program specific to German students at Penndale. We had some staffing challenges over there this year, finding language instruction, particularly for, not full-time, has been very, very challenging. And in the past, we had some past practice of offering language enrichment instruction for French and Spanish, and we want to continue to do the same. And this is for German students at Penndale, that they will be able to sign up and participate in whatever instruction they feel necessary. It can either be in person or virtual. And we will have a cohort for 2 weeks, Monday to Thursday, as the building is closed on Fridays. And we have a wonderful North Penn School District German teacher who has volunteered to run this program, just so our students who are moving from German 1 to German 2 or German 2 into German 3 feel prepared to take on that course progression. So utilizing our district resources and our district instructor in order to, really meet our students' needs moving into next year. So those are the 2 programs that I have. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'd like to ask a question about the German remediation. And maybe this is kind of a larger scope question. This might actually be more for Deanna, perhaps, or Dr. Bauer for that matter. So it's offered to students, but they don't necessarily have to take it. So for the students, are there students that are going to not be able to move into German 2 from German 1? For those who need the remediation, for those who are missing an instructor for as long as they were this year, what does that, if we're not mandating it, which I can understand why we're not mandating it, but if we're not, and a student didn't do particularly well in German 1 and isn't taking it, can they still take German 2? What are the conversations we're having with families about that, since this isn't a requirement?
Great questions, Mr. Fusco. So no, a student will not be prevented from moving forward, right? So students will progress from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3. The online virtual option has been offered with supplemental support in the classroom. And it remains to be seen yet how many students will take advantage of the summer opportunity. But we have to make a commitment to support and remediate kids. Let's just say you're on vacation those 2 weeks and you can't attend the summer session. Of course, it's at no cost to the students. But if they can't attend, then obviously we will have to support the student coming back in the fall to be successful at the next level. And all of the German teachers in the district are aware. So we have had circumstances like this in the past where unexpected medical emergency with a staff member who's teaching pre-calculus, or, and we have to fill in the gaps when they start the next course. So, or just quite frankly, across the entire district when it came to the pandemic, when kids missed months of instruction, at least not the same instruction they would have had in live and in-person instruction. So we will continue to assess over the summer and see how many students don't take advantage of the opportunity, and then do some pre-assessment at the start of the year to determine where the gaps are and fill them in. But that's on us, obviously, not on the student.
Is this specifically for students like at Penndale that had missed, or if you were in German 1 and you just wanted to do a little bit more, you didn't feel and you were in a different building, could you still take advantage of this program?
I'll leave that one to Rachel. I don't see why not, unless the class is over full.
Yeah. I was thinking the exact same thing. In the past, when we've had this, it was French and Spanish, we opened it up, and students who can't, we didn't have that issue, but we won't turn anyone away, unless we really don't have enough space for anyone.
Okay, I'm just curious, if that is the case. I think it's good. I think it's the right first step, to making sure that we are getting these kids caught up on that missing time. I think that's important. I appreciate the willingness of the other folks in the department to help, lift these boats. So thank you for that. Mrs. Stoll, did you have a question?
Not really a question, just more of a comment too. Like, I'm glad to see that this is happening. I was wondering why only German was offered. So thank you for the explanation. Because as a German speaking person, I was really happy to see German be offered, but I was wondering why Spanish and French and the other languages weren't offered. So that is a great explanation. And I'm glad to hear that's what we do when like a medical emergency or whatever occurs. So that it's happened before with other courses. So thank
Maybe
you.
we should keep Mrs. Stull's name on speed dial if we need another
So-
German.
That's what I was going to say. When she raised her hand, she was
Right.
just in Germany.
She's an authentic Omi, right? So,
Right.
Yeah.
I'll do it. No problem.
That's all I got.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Early.
Thank you. And we have one last presentation, which will be our summer program at the middle school and high school. And I think, Mr. Boyd, you starting? Yes,
Yes,
and then
that's
you'll turn it over to Mr. Taylor. All right, great.
That is correct. All right. Good evening, everyone. So, Mr. Taylor and I are excited to share information about the summer school remediation program. This is offered to students grades 9 through 12, or high school students, as well as our middle school students, 7 and 8. Really looking at what it is in its essence is an opportunity for students to remediate learning that did occur during the school year, but they earned an E. And sometimes we have some questions on what exactly is an E. It's the grade range of 50 to 64.5. So when students have demonstrated, that degree of learning, this is an opportunity for them to, go back, relearn, remediate, deepen that learning of that knowledge that they already have, during the summer season. It primarily and typically focuses on what we call our major courses: English, science, social studies, pre-algebra, algebra 1, and geometry. And really, it's very similar between the high school and middle school levels, obviously respective to the grade levels. But the really only difference is that the middle school, 7th and 8th grade, it's non-credit bearing work, but the idea is the same, that learning as a continuum and as a cycle, we want to make sure we're supporting students all throughout that journey. Some of those key components in years past, and similarly here, it is via Edgenuity, so it's online. Students who have taken any kind of MPVA course are familiar with that format. So students do have some flexibility in accessing the work and working at their pace. But it is offered 4 days a week of in-person support as well as online support. So just as some of our previous speakers had shared, the building is open Monday through Thursday, but students, of course, can work on that work any day. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we do have teachers in person that can help support the students, or they can set up a Google Meet if that's more accessible for the student, and coordinate work with those teachers as they're working through the content. And this is all housed at North Penn High School, but of course, it is online for all students as well. I know Mr. Taylor is going to go into some of the other details to follow.
Good evening, everyone. So after students receive verification that they're eligible for course enrollment, they'll be sent their login information for Ingenuity, and that'll be a couple of days prior to the start of summer school. So they'll have an opportunity to kind of familiarize themselves with the Ingenuity program, go through the tutorials and everything, and then their course will be ready to open for them on Monday, June 24th, and then they have until Thursday, July 25th, to complete all the coursework that's involved. The 25th is the last day of the support, whether it's the online support or the in-person support, but they will have that Friday, the 26th, to finish up whatever remaining time that they have for course completion. I'm sorry, for classwork completion or assessment completion, or whatever is left within that particular course or courses. If students are not meeting with success throughout the summer school program, and ultimately their actual grade is showing below a 60%, we will send email notifications to them, and also call they and their families to say that they need to start coming in for in-person support. What we found in the past with this format is that usually when students transition from doing exclusively at home to now coming into the building between that 8 to 11 a.m. range, they started meeting with more success. So we try to monitor that every week. We send out emails for inactivity. So if students are not meeting their daily goals within their ingenuity courses, then we send out the communication letting them know that, hey, they're falling behind and they're at a 60, they're below 60% at this point, are projected to be below 60% when the course, by the time July 26 rolls around. So we try to get them to come in to receive in-person support. Also, we have the staff that are hired for it cover the 4 major courses: science, social studies, math, and English. And then we also have ELL support, as well as 2 special education teachers who are available either in person or virtually every day during those that 4-day week, with the exception of whatever day July 1 falls on. That no support's being offered that day because the building's closed that day. And again, my understanding is that this is the last year that summer school will be offered at no cost to students, because we still have some grant monies that's going to cover that. And that's essentially it for the summer school program on the secondary level. Mr. Boyd, am I missing anything?
I believe that rounds out the details, Mr. Taylor.
All right, solid. All right. So were there any questions about what we're looking to do, which is to maintain the status quo of how the summer school format had been the last 2 years? Which I think is important to note that it seems ultimately a lot of students do meet with success. What we see is that for the last few years, it's been less than about under 13% of students who failed at least one course. So, you know, we're seeing a huge success rate in terms of students getting the remediation for summer school and making up those credits that they need to put them back on track if it's at the high school with graduation. And then for the middle school, make sure that they're actually getting promoted to the next grade.
Anyone have any questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Great.
You're most welcome.
Okay. This is an item that is recommended for action. So can I have a motion to move this to the action agenda?
So moved, sir.
All right. Motion by Mr. McBain. I'll second it. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion carries. All right. Moving along here. I think our next item is a curriculum resource adoption.
Yes, it is.
Right.
So I'll pull up the slide deck. I'm delighted that Rachel Early is staying to talk about some of the courses that she has some adoptions for, and Donna Dome is as well. And so I'll do a little brief introduction, and then we'll go through our recommendations. All right. So curriculum adoptions, we in the fall had the pleasure of being able to come to ECI to talk about the courses that we want to recommend for the 24-25 school year. And at this point, we want to be able to share with you the actual resources that we will are recommending to complement those programs. And as I said, Donna Dome, who's the curriculum supervisor for secondary STEM, and Rachel Early, who's our curriculum supervisor for secondary humanities and ELD, we'll talk a little bit about those respective courses and the content and the resources that we'll be using. So if you want to go to the next slide, please. So I want to just provide a little bit of a frame for the presentations that you're going to hear this evening. We really do see the materials that are chosen as a lever for equity. We are very intentional and thoughtful about the instructional materials that we are recommending. We want to make sure that every student, regardless of identity, regardless of learning profile, are learning grade level content in really engaging and meaningful ways. We see high quality materials as a way of decreasing the inequities in instruction between and within our schools. And so there's been a pretty deep dive into looking at a variety of resources before coming to you, so that we feel really confident that students in each of our buildings, regardless of learning profiles, I said before, really have an opportunity to thrive and do incredibly well. And so I'm delighted to give my colleagues an opportunity to talk a little bit about the resources that they're recommending. So I think I think Donna Dome, you're going to go first with
Yes.
geometry. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Hart. Good evening, everyone. I'm presenting tonight our resource for our geometry courses at both the middle and high school. And this is a result of the continued work of our 7 to 12 math review committee. It was recommended that Reveal be used for our geometry courses. And during 22-23. So during this past school year, we've been working on updating the curriculum and making sure that the resource we chose best matches our curriculum. So we've had the opportunity also this year to pilot this resource in both the middle school and the high school geometry courses. Next slide, please. So our goals with Reveal Geometry is making sure that we had alignment to the standards, and not only Pennsylvania standards, we also looked at SAT as well, looking for a resource that provided real world and career applications, as well as a focus on data and probability. And this resource did that. The next slide. Some of the resource highlights is we have both a print and digital model. Students are going to be very familiar with the Reveal platform because it is also the same platform that we use in 7th, 8th, and Algebra 1. It is a student-centered model focusing on discourse with launch, explore, reflect, and a practice model. Teachers are familiar with it already in using it with those previous courses. We really like how it provides real-world applications in geometry and career connections, and also has the ALEX program, which provides a personalized learning piece for our students as well. So I believe in the next slide, I hand it over to Mrs. Early.
Thank you. So for the secondary humanities side of the house, we'll be talking about American Sign Language 2, which will be in world language, and then AP African American Studies in the social studies department. And similarly to what Dr. Hart and Ms. Dome shared, we've had curriculum committees of teachers working on needs assessments, evaluating all the resources on the market, and then utilizing instructional materials evaluation tool to effectively evaluate the resources and all their components. So we'll start with American Sign Language. So I am pleased to be discussing American Sign Language 2, which is a continuation of the American Sign Language 1 course that we had this past year that's been a great success. And our instructor really loves the Dawn Sign Press program. And so we are going to continue on. Our level 1 of the course encompasses units 1 through 6. So we'll be moving on to units 7 through 12 for this particular course. And in the next slide, it just kind of highlights some of the key components that we really like with the program. As you can imagine, videos are critically important for learning sign language. So thankfully, our technology department has done a great job with hooking up Dawn Sign Press via Canvas so that students can watch videos related to the curriculum, as well as having paper resources. So we have them in all different modalities, which is just a big highlight of the program. And then moving over to the social studies department, we have a new course, AP African American Studies. This course was previously, this is the first year that this course will be running. So with that, the resources on the market were a little bit slim, but we found a great resource, Black History 365. All of our American history teachers have this resource that they utilize for their own instruction as an inclusive account of American history. And this is from the BH 365 Foundation. They do a lot of work with professional development, teacher and student resources. So our teachers were familiar with it, but for the course, it will be just a great component just because it particularly highlights African American history from a more inclusive perspective and a historical perspective. I'm going to go to the next slide. Just talk a little bit about the key components. We have online resources, physical books as well will be included, and just an interactive program. It has QR codes, which is something that I think a lot of students like to utilize. So it we'll hook up via Canvas and also through QR codes as well. And this course is for students entering grades 10 through 12. And that's it. Those are the only two that I have.
Mr. McBain?
I think Mr. Fusco was first.
No,
sorry.
You were first, Mr. McBain. You go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, just congratulations on the African American Studies, particularly. It's a new course. It's not an AP history course. It's a African American Studies course. So some of the skill sets are different. It's really hard to translate other history textbooks into what is needed for this kind of course. And the exciting part about that is that it's so open, right? And part of the curriculum is actually seeing modern day examples of the continued journey amongst the population, and then applying what has been done in the past and what's happened in the past to get greater context, which I think is wonderful. So if you search for AP African American Studies, you're not going to find one single textbook that does it all. And I'm glad that we have something that our teachers are already familiar with. That's excellent. So just happy to be part of a team that gets to understand and validate the hard work that you've done to find good resources. So as that course grows, hopefully we can continue to support you guys in choosing the great resources you have.
Yes, thank you so much. We're excited. We have about 2, and this is the AP level running for the first time. We have African American Studies already at the high school, and we will have at least 2 sections of it next year. So we're really excited about that.
Mr. Fusco?
Okay, couple comments and a question. Glad to see we're moving forward with ASL 2. Videos in terms of supplementals are going to be very important. As somebody who has studied sign language, those still pictures with the arrows are very hard sometimes to interpret, and in 2024 it probably shouldn't be too relied on. There's a lot of great video resources out there. I'm glad to see that we're utilizing those. In terms of the African American Studies, again, echoing Mr. McBain's sentiment, congratulations on getting that started. Aren't we fortunate to live in a state that isn't afraid to offer it? My final thought is actually about the geometry text. It's a question. What is the discrepancy between the books and the licenses? Looks like there's like 200 books and 900.
We were just ordering. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. We were just ordering classroom sets of textbooks, and then all students will have digital licenses.
So the expectation is the books will actually stay in the class.
Correct.
You don't have to be carted back and forth. One thing I've always wondered.
Correct. But with
these Chromebooks, one of my daughter still has 80 pounds of books attached to her back. Like, what? So I'm glad to hear that's the answer to that one.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Classroom set. Plus we also order extra for any students that need to have a book at home as well.
Okay, good. And actually, just for a moment, can you explain a little bit more about the ALEX program you had mentioned?
Oh, sure. The ALEX program comes with the Reveal Math, and it's a personalized learning path for students. And the one piece of it that we really like for the geometry is it's going to help to reinforce the algebra skills before going into Algebra 2. Students are currently using it in 7th, 8th, and Algebra 1 as well, working on their own pathways to reinforce skills and also to extend them as well. So it's a personalized pathway that we're still working with and receiving professional development on. Our coaches support our teachers extensively. Our teachers support our students with it. So we've had good learning with it. So we're going to continue to do that.
Well, that's good. And I'm glad to see that there's some connection with algebra, because it is difficult for a lot of students, I think, to have Algebra 1 and then 2 years later to take Algebra 2.
Yes.
Because geometry and algebra are not very similar. So they're not a lot of, so it's good to keep that moving. Okay, great. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one or a couple comments and then just a question. Again, I'll just echo the seeing us move forward and being progressive with what we're offering students. And really, I always say to people who ask me, your kids go to such a large high school, there's so many. And I say, we have so much opportunity. You can take everything from ASL to photography at North Penn High School. So I always say my kids are so lucky that they've been able to have such opportunity at North Penn High School. So thank you to everyone that does all of the work to the curriculum team that does the work with the teachers throughout the year to help get us there with ensuring that we have quality resources to support teaching and learning. I have one question about professional learning for the adults, which I guess I haven't asked before, but I'm asking now, which is when we adopt a new course, and I'm going to take the AP African American Studies one because because Tim is my friend. I know that he has been thinking and kind of talking about this. And so my thought is, what happens, right, to a Mr. McBain who's like got a new course that he's going to be teaching next year? What's the professional learning opportunity and preparation? Is he just expected on his own to figure this out? Is there a 1-week institute that teachers are paid for that they can come in and kind of work through the curriculum and what that's going to look like when there's a new course like that? And I mean, I should have asked this question about ASL last year, right? Are teachers provided with some professional learning specifically for a new course? I mean, we know teachers take a lot of time with preparation all year in their courses, but when there's a brand new course, I just wonder what the support is for professional learning in terms of summer or opportunities. Not that we want to make teachers come in. I think, of course, they should be paid for it, but I also know teachers do the work of it over the summer on their own. But that shouldn't always be the answer. So I'm wondering what the opportunities are there for professional learning and opportunity for planning.
So that's a great question. I can answer just specifically for my courses. We tend to start, once the resource is approved, there's always a training that they will participate from the publisher. So we get that set up, and and I'm sure my colleagues do the same, like to survey the group to see like what time is best for them. And fortunately, one of the great things from the pandemic is a lot of times those trainings have a wider variety of formats. So a teacher can be at the beach. They don't have to be at the ESC at 9 o'clock during the summer for that. So that's great. We definitely always have the resource training. And then we have time that we work on the curriculum. We are fortunate enough now that we do have some pullout days that are available. We had those prior to the pandemic. And now then after the pandemic, we had such a shortage of substitutes, we just couldn't make that happen. Now we are able to, with proper planning, and have those days where substitutes come in and we can work specifically on curriculum and plan them throughout the year so that they're at key points, so they can work on common assessments, they can work on curriculum documents. We also have some curriculum time specifically allocated on the professional development calendar. And then teachers who are working on a new course typically they don't have to, but typically like to utilize their flex hours for the work that they work outside of anything related to common assessments or curriculum. Then they can get credit for that as well. And so kind of just spacing all of those things out throughout the year gives them a more full approach to feel prepared moving into the first year. And then AP courses in general do tend to require a specific training. Years past, before the pandemic, we would have to look at all over for trainings, typically colleges. Now our IU offers a lot of them at a really great price at a close location. So we take advantage of that. And then there's also an AP syllabi that's due. It's usually due around October, so that has to be completed for that as well. So just additional layer for AP courses. But we work with the teachers throughout the school year and the summer to accomplish that at a time frame that works for them. And anyone else, feel free to add anything that I missed.
Thank you. I really feel like you covered it, and it's nice to hear that it's kind of throughout the year that there's a support given and that they're given time to kind of digest, create that syllabi that's due in October and all of that. Oh, he unmuted for a second, which made me think he wanted to say something.
I just wanted to add a comment. The College Board should be providing a lot more offerings for this type of teacher training than they have. That's all I'll say. I trust that we have a great team to make up the differences that the College Board will leave for, all test takers, unfortunately. But I think we can overcome that with the experience that we have in the room here, and obviously our spectacular staff.
Great. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for your work. If you were on here to present around that, you get to continue with your evening and wave goodbye to us. Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda, are we on student travel?
Yes, I think we are, Dr. G. All right. Can you hear me okay? Because it seemed like I might have been. All right, good. All right, so we just have one item tonight for student travel, and that is to recommend 15 high school science Olympiad students and 2 staff members. They are going to the state competition in Fun, Altoona, PA from April 26th to the 27th. The approximate, I'm sorry, Altoona might be fun. I should never have said that. I apologize if you're from Altoona. Anyway.
And somebody on the call family is from Altoona, so I need a little love in the evening, Dr. Waters.
I'm so sorry. Thought bubble speaks. I'm sorry. All right. The approximate cost is $1,546.44. That goes to lodging, meals, and transportation. And students are contributing $50. Those who have a hardship have gotten assistance. That's the end of student travel tonight.
Thank you. We'll need to move that forward. So can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And motion passes. And I think we do not have any students. So that would leave us at, I'm finding my agenda, public comment. And do we have anyone for public comment?
We do.
Did we say no?
No, we do. We have one.
Oh. We have one person for public comment.
Hang on 1 second. Yeah,
Oh.
I am trying to figure out where they went. I've lost them.
Did we already read the statement?
No.
Okay. I'll read the statement while you're figuring out where they went. Tonight's meeting is our regularly scheduled committee meeting. In order to meet the requirements of Pennsylvania Sunshine Law, it is necessary to record the names of all citizens who speak to the committee during the meeting. To assure compliance with this requirement, it is essential that those planning to address the committee state their name and municipality. Members of the audience are asked to limit their questions and comments to no more than 3 minutes. This limit will permit time for all those who wish to speak to the committee. Whenever members of the audience exceed this time limit, the committee chair may ask the individual to yield to the next speaker.
Okay, I've figured out my tabs. We do have one community member that has their hand up, Mr. Lanier. Mr. Lanier, I'm going to allow you to talk. Please state your name and address for the board, and you may begin to talk.
Jason Lanier, Lansdale. As looking through the presentation, and of course, the one thing that kind of made me question what the goal here is you have levers for equity. What does a lever for equity in education mean? Meaning, if equity is to mean equal outcomes, how do you lever geometry text or ALEX program? How does that push towards an equal outcome? And doesn't that, isn't that detrimental to the students who are pretty proficient at geometry? So if they don't need the ALEX because geometry comes naturally to them or whatever, are they going to an advanced geometry? Explain that to me. I don't understand how that's beneficial to try to create an equal outcome, or using education as levers of equity to have equal outcome. Same with American Sign Language. What is the equity there? How is it? If it's just a language, it's a language, right? So I don't have any problem with people taking sign language. What's equitable about taking that sign language? And AP Black History, I think, is pretty much on the same question. I'm not understanding why it's there's a lever of equity. What are you pushing? I mean, it's just a course, yeah. So it's a course that you can learn more about. Kind of read a little bit about 365 Black history, and it's ancient Black cultures. That's fantastic, great. I'm not exactly sure what that means in terms of getting an equal outcome. And again, because I've not been given it just everybody gets what they need is what equity is. Okay, I kind of get that. That doesn't really seem what doesn't seem to be a very tangible, rational definition, but equal outcome sort of makes a lot more sense to me, and that's what it seems to be aiming for. So I'm really curious as to how those levers work, and I guess in a more maybe I could actually see these if I can get access, if I can be participating, not as a vocal person, but in some of the professional development. I would like to see what is actually going on sort of behind the curtain, and maybe also take a look at the actual curriculum of these books, not just finding what I can on the internet regarding it, but actually seeing what we're pushing on the kids and see where the benefit is and where the equity is in all this. Because again, I don't think that striving to have equal outcomes is great. Better we striving to have everybody do better and be more proficient at school. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lanier. Mr. McBain, your hand is still up. Was it something that you wanted to?
Yeah, I wanted to respond to Mr. Lanier, if that's all right with you, Madam Chair. Is that okay?
It is.
Great. Thank you very much. I wanted to correct a few things that I heard here real quick. An equity lever is not used to create equal outcomes. It's used to ensure that equal opportunities are given to students. Students are going to be invited to learn more about their own culture and their own history. But keep in mind, as I said before, it isn't a history course necessarily. It's an African American studies course. There's so much more involved with that. That is not your typical historical account and your typical memorization of dates and facts and names and things like that. It's a lot more about the experience of these people in the history of the United States and previously. And that's a very important distinction. So please don't mention it as AP Black History. That's not what it is, and that doesn't encompass what the course entails. So please just keep in mind, we make these textbooks available. It's the information about them is often listed on our board docs. You drop by the ESC, the textbooks, physical copies are often available. I just have trouble when somebody comes to a meeting, doesn't seem very prepared, complains that they don't understand what's going on, and then misnames the course as they explain how much they don't understand. So I trust in our administrative team, and I think that what we're doing here, if you take the non-internet deep dive, if you listen to more of your community members and not somebody from a national news station, you'll understand a little better about how that works. So that's all I have to say. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. McBain, for your insightful response. I do believe we need to move curriculum forward as well. So can I have a motion to move the curriculum as it has been presented this evening forward?
So moved.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes, and so the curriculum as well as the travel will move forward. And I believe that that is all for the evening. Dr. Waters, we approved everything that needed to move forward, correct?
You did, and that is all we have tonight.
Okay. All right, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, meeting adjourned, and thank you.
All right, good night,
Thank
everyone.
you, everybody. Thank you, Mary. Good night, everyone.